Good afternoon, I guess. It's 6 o'clock. My name is Todd Sievert. I am the chairman of the Finance Committee. To my left is Bobby Phillips. To my right is Bill Rozelle. We are here today to provide a recommendation to council regarding the new recommendations of the Loan Review Committee that council approve revisions to the Small Business Development Revolving Loan Fund guidelines to update and clarify criteria, as well as provide consistency to applicants of the program. I will turn it over to Mr. Tiddington or Mr. Davis. Who's going to present?
I can give you the summary, and Mr. Davis can fill in the blanks. And so this program, council created in 2007. There have not been any modifications, significant ones anyway, since then. But we were tasked last year with updating those, the criteria that we were using, trying to bring some clarity and some consistency. And so what you have in your packet is our attempt to do that. What it does is it sets the interest rates, and again, but let me preface this by saying that these are guidelines. So that when we sit down with an applicant, it is very clear as to what criteria they should expect, unless they have something very unique, and then we would come to you and recommend alterations to these guidelines. But the guidelines would be set so that interest rates for any loan under 10 years would be 0.5% below the current prime rate. If they're 10 to 15 years, they'd be the current prime rate, and then above 15 years would be prime rate plus 1%. Prime rate would be noted, documented at the time the application is submitted. The loan amount would be a minimum of $25,000. Loan terms would not exceed 20 years, again, as a general guideline. We would require a minimum of one job to be required. This is a small, primarily a small business development program, and so large job creation is probably unrealistic, but again, these are guidelines. Assistance, we would expect at least 10% of the requested loan amount be provided by the applicants in some form of other financing or equity, and repayment to ease the administrative burden. We would require the applicant to agree to automatic deduction for monthly or periodic payment of the loan, whatever the schedule is. These guidelines were reviewed with and agreed to, and in some cases suggested by the city auditor, and so he is in agreement with what we bring to you. We are not asking for emergency legislation, as we have no pending applications to review.
Mr. Davis, anything you wish to add to that?
No, I think you summarized it very well.
And I would concur. As many know, the variance in interest rates has been brought up by this committee and other committees to the administration on a number of occasions, and I'm glad to see that there be some consistency. Obviously, as you said, these are guidelines, but for most situations, we'll now have some consistency for the borrower. Any questions by I'll go to Mr. Rozelle first. Mr. Phillips, any questions or comments?
I do, just of a general nature with loans, grants that we provide. How many other funds do we have similar to this, CDBG and others?
We have two revolving loan programs. One is the CDBG, and then the other one is the SBD. We have we also have the NSP program, the CHIP program rather, as well as the new one that the council created, but those are for property owners. Those are owner-occupied residential programs.
So are these standardization guidelines, will they apply, or can we apply these to all of the loans we have, or all of the funds?
Each program is unique. The other 3 programs we've already pegged to the CDBG, the federal and state guidelines, so we wouldn't want to vary from those.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
I have a follow-up. Will there be an availability for individuals to, I can't think of a better term, refinance their loans once these rates have been approved by council?
That happens periodically. There's nothing that, if an application comes through and the request is made to refinance, we would look at each one of those individually. The administration reviews them, the staff reviews them with the city auditor. Then we make a recommendation to the revolving loan committee, who then brings them to this committee, and which is what they did in this case as well.
So, but just like in a commercial setting, it's going to be incumbent upon the borrower to initiate those proceedings. We're not going to go through and lower or raise rates depending upon
Correct.
the current loan.
Correct.
Mr. Whitten? Ms. Snee?
Just curious about the increase in the minimum loan amount. Do we have applications from people who might need a loan for less than $25,000 or other programs?
They're very few and far between, but as a general guideline, in talking with the city auditor, there's such an administrative burden with paperwork and the processing that we have to do that 25,000 is a reasonable threshold. But again, if there's a unique project that it varies from the guidelines, we would just highlight those in a future committee meeting.
Thank you.
Anything else? Mr. Pierce? I don't see anyone else in the audience. Anyone else in the staff have any further comments? Mr. Rozell, how do you wish to proceed? Mr. Phillips, how do you wish to proceed?
Let's proceed as staff is recommending.
There'll be unanimous recommendation to proceed as staff has recommended. Anything else to come before this committee? I would move to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting. Thank you.